So let's talk a second about the electronic suspension. I think this is cool because even on my Superbike, I haven't upgraded to the TTX, which is the racer's choice, the ultimate rear Öhlins suspension. And what the TTX does for you is it gives you two separate chambers for compression and rebound so that one adjustment does not affect the other. So basically you can go to the extremes of adjustment without affecting the other setting. So the TTX is the ultimate, and in this case we're going to have servos to automatically adjust it for you. And the front Öhlins suspension also, which we already mentioned. So spring preload is just adjustable on the rear like we mentioned earlier. And so what we've done is create factory settings for each of the modes, but just like a factory setting on another bike, you can adjust it for yourself, and as you go back to that mode on your bike, it will stay in the adjusted position in that mode for you. The hands-free system is kind of fun also. So we talked about the pocket key. It'll activate the bike about 6 feet from the bike. When you flip the key open, that'll access the gas cap, and we're also going to include, and this is a first for Ducati, when you order the bike, if you get the non-touring version that's not going to have bags, you will still get a set of lock barrels with the bike so that when you add luggage, you simply drop those barrels into the bags. Those become your lock that match your ignition key. First for us, it won't be a 3-key bike. Yeah. So, and there's the kill switch is kind of cool. It's kind of like a fighter jet activating the fire button, but you'll have to play with that. It's like the Street Fighter. So there's a little picture of the dash. It is 2 different LCD displays. The first and larger display is the speed display and the typical stuff you're used to seeing. And the second round display on the right is where you adjust the riding modes. You also adjust your load modes. So some of y'all may be familiar with just a rider with luggage, a rider passenger with or without luggage. Besides the 4 riding modes, you can also adjust the load so that the suspension automatically accommodates your load. Here's another neat accomplishment. We went from 432 in a air-cooled bike to 416 dry in a water-cooled Superbike powered bike. We did this in a couple of different ways and found the balance in a couple of different ways, but it does use a magnesium front subframe. And we redesigned we're always redesigning the swing arms and components to make a lighter weight situation, but it does have a new swing arm on it. And this is the new steel trellis frame. It's made up of multiple materials and multiple components, but basically it achieves a 19% higher torsional rigidity than the former frame at a lighter weight. The other thing we did to lower the weight is we're using a new process to form our cases in the motor. So we've dropped about 4 pounds off a lot of the current motors by basically pulling the material into the dies to avoid any voids and avoiding over-engineering material into the cases. So they're absolutely engineered to be minimal and lightweight, and we protect them with the off-road style sump you'll see. The fuel tank is a blow molded technology, which you may be familiar with, but basically it gets 5.3 gallons in the tank by using every available piece of space with the blow molding technology. So the range, I'm guessing the 186 miles is going to be pretty conservative estimate if you 5.3 times what we know the efficiency is going to be. I'm sure that's when the fuel light comes on, not when the bike is empty. The exhaust system, I'll show that off a little better once the cover's off the bike, but it is hidden and very nicely integrated into the bike. Keeps the weight very low and keeps the heat off the rider and the passenger. The neat thing about the passenger ergonomics and the rider ergonomics on this bike is how much Ducati focused on this. We've had the history of having seats that people weren't in love with or riding positions people weren't in love with, and this bike is going to change that for us. One of the other things to note is if you look where the passenger is sitting on that bike, and I'd love some passengers to sit on the bike once we get the cover off, the passenger's weight is fully in front of the rear axle. So under acceleration, you're not going to get that tendency to wheelie. Going in and out of corners, it's not going to feel like you've got a 12-pack in the top case. It's going to handle like a Ducati should. The screen moves 60 millimeters up and down. We also have a larger screen available for taller folks. The headlights are interesting. This is going to be a very recognizable bike going down the road. If you notice the V at the bottom of the light, that's basically an identifier. It's backlit LEDs, which will give the bike a very distinct look on the road. So we're going to sell the bike in 3 different versions. The standard version is going to be $14,995 MSRP, and it's going to give you the Ducati traction control. It will be ride-by-wire, and it will be a non-ABS, non-electronically adjustable suspension model. You can get ABS on the standard model, and it comes in red and Arctic white. The S version is going to integrate the electronic suspension, the ride-by-wire, and all of the other features. And it's going to come in two different editions. The Touring, I have the Sport Edition here. The Touring Edition is going to come with side panniers, a center stand, and heated grips, where if you move to the Sport version, you basically take those components off, but this is a carbon fibered Sport version. So it's going to be a tough choice. Which way do you go? I'm going to get the Touring model, but I'm going to have to add some of this carbon. Once you see it, you'll understand why. And it's going to come in 3 different colors. So there's a larger photo of the standard model. The suspension on the standard model will be a 50mm Marzocchi in the front and a Sachs on the rear. It does have Brembo brakes, but the ABS will be an optional addition to the standard model. The tires do deserve a little bit of attention, and you may be familiar that Ducati and Pirelli have a very tight partnership. So when we were developing this bike, we needed a tire that would deliver the sport performance we needed, give us the durability for touring, but then also be able to turn down that dirt road and not slide around everywhere. So this is a true touring dual compound tire with very soft sides for sport riding. So you're going to see the lugs are a little bit larger for dirt, the sides are nice and soft for sport riding, and the centers are going to give you the longevity for touring. So this is a very hybrid specific brand new tire for this motorcycle. So the S version is what we have here. The Olins are 48mm but electronically controlled. The rear is the TTX. And on the Sport, you're going to get the carbon fiber air intakes, cam belt covers, and the rear hugger. This one has a couple of other carbon fiber pieces on it also. And the Touring version, you can see the panniers, the heated grips, and the center stand. So, I'm going to stop right now and show you all the bike. And I want everybody to come up close, touch it, feel it, sit on it. Riders, passengers, we want you to experience it. So for the first time in Austin, here's the Multistrada 1200.
Compact, smaller than I thought. It is way smaller than that. Yeah, it is. It looks a lot smaller than the picture. Yeah, it actually does.
Well, I'll point out a couple of things real quick. Y'all have already seen probably on the internet the one-click button. This is the one-click button. This is the button that controls this dash and allows you to change load modes and go into the 4 riding configurations. It's all, and it'll do that while the bike is moving. Now, to customize the mode, both wheel sensors have to be stationary, so you do have to stop to customize the suspension for yourself, but you do it with the same button. The other really neat thing to me is in the past, when we've had side panniers on our bikes, they involve putting on a large metal bracket that's not maybe so attractive when the baggage is off the motorcycle. This motorcycle is ready to mount a bag right now. Really? So if you look at the 2 slots right here, okay, basically the bag with the handle up as you would carry it, you walk up to the motorcycle, and it's 2 little bosses that install in the front of these slots, and then when you put the handle down, the 2 other pieces go in and lock the luggage in place. There's a small piece on the heel rest that will capture the bottom of the bag to stabilize it, and that's it. And so the keys will match the ignition, and the bags will come on and off. Obviously, this is for the top case. The top case will fit 2 full-face helmets. The left case will fit a single full-face helmet, as all of our other bags have. The right bag, however, is slightly different to accommodate the exhaust gases coming out. So it does have a cutout for that, but the exhaust is in such a great place. I think that was a good decision.
Wow. When you put it on, I wasn't worried about that.